Aye.
Howdy.
Hello.
Do we have everyone from your team here? I think so.
Looks like it.
Jennifer, we're on YouTube.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so when we left off last week, we had shared our proposal at that point, and then I had followed up in addition with the language piece. So Hobie, I believe you probably got that information. And so I know that you all were going to respond to that piece.
Yeah, thanks, Jennifer. Can you hear me? It's been, my computer's been acting up. Okay. Yes, we did. And I guess I heard from several employees throughout the week, and I think they still, a lot of them have the question that when you work, especially the ones that are working, 6.5 hours and above, and that is their full-time job, and paying at a minimum for one bedroom's $850, and then you add in everything that goes along with that. And it's just not a livable wage in Corvallis. So I guess that's sort of, what we're trying to look at here. And I'm going to let Hobie present the latest proposal for me because my internet has been super spotty.
All right, thank you, Mary. And if the host could give me rights to share here, permissions.
You should have them now.
Thank you. So what I've done here is I've bolded the changes, except for the things that were removed, which I'll talk about. So on this, we're offering you a bundle here instead of individual proposals like the last one. We've removed the minimum $15 wage and adjust everybody upwards an equal amount. We removed that piece. We removed the 6% wage. We've put in the 50-cent differential. We've moved to a flat rate for the employees, give them all a 2% raise, retro back to 7/1/21. The language below that is not bolded is what we're waiting to hear back from you guys on. And so it's just remains part of this. It's just part of this bundle, just like it was our original proposals, because we haven't heard a counter from you on it. So it's just here. COVID language, the coach language up here, and the COVID language down here, and then the PERS language down here. It's all exactly the same from our last proposal. Nothing's changed because, again, we're waiting to hear back from you on your thoughts on that. And then on the language piece that you brought up, so tried to condense this down from, you saw the original draft, I think, Jennifer, that I handed you. It was like 7 pages from the way the attorneys wanted it, but we've tried to narrow it down. I think we're down to about 1.75 pages or 2 pages. I've moved this language up here. It seemed to fit better. It's just simply saying that following PECBA, we have the right to bargain over changes in the contract, which I think is kind of a no-brainer. And then down here, we've made, none of this is anything different. It's still, we're striking out the parts that are covered below just to keep it all consistent, and leaving the parts in that are there. So there's no changes there. Here, however, there is changes. I've tried to condense this about as compacted as much as I can. Under this 4.4 with the headers up front here. It's kind of the style we've been using. So, release for meetings, bulletin boards, union meetings, meeting notices, information requests. And then this one's got a couple parts to it, but, rights to use facilities, and new hire information. So this here, large chunk of this used to take up, multiple pages. We've tried to condense it down so it's a little more user friendly and doesn't fill up so many pages. this is straight out of the law and something that you're doing already, and I believe was even in your proposal. We have changed this piece down here. No, that's from the old one. This part down here. This is a little different. I think you had suggested that we put, I think you had suggested 1 hour at orientation meetings for, to talk to new and non-union people, stuff like that. That's the problem with that is that for starters, I just don't think that we necessarily always need an hour. And like, for instance, Mary was telling me you have one person at this meeting coming up here. We don't need an hour for that person. We can absolutely do that in a half hour or so, you know, if they got a lot of questions. It might even be a little less. So having that flexibility to kind of be adaptable and move to, you know, we have a big group, we might need an hour or more. If we have a smaller group or one person, you know, half hour. If, you know, somebody falls through the cracks, we have the catch-all language down here under A, to make sure that we're, I won't let me highlight it, but to make sure that we're getting everybody. This safeguards our interests and allows us to be able to, you know, make sure that we're complying with the law, but also that we're talking to everybody who wants to talk to us. That, you know, well, we have to talk to everybody initially, at least once, and then after that, if they want to talk to us. So that's the biggest change here. And this is pulled out of, I think this one's Lincoln County is where this one comes out of, this language here, but it's used in multiple areas as well. But every single one that I've bargained, save one that will have it coming in, which is Cascade, will have this language right here in it. And the reason why is because we found there's just too many people that slip through the cracks. And so this safeguards us to be able to do that. And I think if you reach out to any of those districts, they'll tell you nobody's abusing that, mainly because it has to be initiated by the member or potential member. And I don't know, I won't speak for Mary, but I'll speak for my time. I don't have time to be chasing down people once a year to see if this is the year they want to join. This is just a safeguard for us. And it wasn't included in your plan. So that's a big change there, is that piece there. Let's point that out. This is just a way for people to find if they want to read more about the law. We included that in Lincoln County as a way for people to be able to see what it's all about if they want to be able to look at it. But I think this is pretty close to as compact, especially this first part up here. These kind of 6 points we have up here, that's pretty compacted down, I think, as much as it can really get it to, and reasonably keep the intent of what the law says in there. So
Hobie, can I ask, how different is it from the original one you submitted?
Quite different. That was modeled off of the Silver Falls one that was like I want to say 5 pages, just the changes, roughly 5 pages, I believe. And that one had, I mean, it really went through every instance, like what happens at orientation meetings, you know, like when you bring people back to school, there's language in there about that. There's language in there about, like, you know, specific types of things, right? I mean, it really goes through, like I said, me and Nancy Hungerford spent better part of 3 months bargaining that. And a lot of it just me and her one-on-one, because the committees got sick of us. It was so hyper technical and kicked us to a side room to bargain it. It's very good because it's very clear, but it is a lot. So I've been trying to offer alternatives for other districts that feel like that's a lot for them.
Right, which is why my language is based on other ones that you've done that I also narrowed down, because since it is law, we still have to comply with it all, and just trying to keep it, again, to minimum as far as what people can understand within the contract. I mean, I'm even wondering if you're open to not referencing House Bill 2016, because 5 years down the road, no one's going to have an idea what that even was. So just trying to keep it somewhat relevant, knowing, again, it's still law and we have to comply.
Yeah, and I can understand that, and I would say we would look at that if that changes. We would look at that at that time, right? Right now, it is a thing, so that's why we reference it, right? But that happens all the time when things change. We bargain, we change, we update, we change. You know, I think that's probably a normal facet of bargaining. But I think if you look at this, it's scaled. If you look at the actual change, this scaled way, way, way back. So I think this is pretty close. I mean, especially when you take out the stuff that's struck through up here, I think you're actually it's pretty close to what you had, because I mean you're taking out 5 or 6 sections up top here, and then you're adding in, you know, slightly more down here, but it'll be pretty close. I mean, we've got it. I feel like this is pretty compacted. So, but you should take a look at it, and you guys should work through it and see if it makes sense. But I do think that this is going through and spending some time just kind of looking at it and looking at your district and specific to what you had before. I think it narrows the gap pretty good. But I would say that I think it's close. The last section where it is a big paragraph, that could be reworked. There's something in Silver Falls that lays it out with a little more, like 30 minutes in this situation, an hour in this situation kind of thing. That might be a little more amenable to you than that. And I could play around with that a bit. But, you know, just a one size fits all with that 60 minutes, I don't think makes sense for you guys either, to be honest with you. But let me give you some time to kind of live with this. I've emailed this to you, so you have it to share with your team. But, you know, take a look at it, give you a few minutes to live with it, you know, to kind of look at it and see if it makes sense. And but I think it's been a pretty I'm trying to say Hercules, but I can't say it. So I'm trying to say it's been a heavy lift to push that into what it is now, just really squish it down to less than 2 pages. But we could probably tweak it around the edges. But I think it saves people from having to run to try to look up the law or trying to figure something out too. I'm trying to really get the summary of it so people can look at it and say, okay, I get the idea what they're doing here, right? Versus, you know, spawning grievance after grievance because nobody understands what the heck's going on. You know, I don't want that, you know, and that's just a headache waiting to come, you know, or a complaint waiting to come. I want to give people enough to work with so they understand what we're talking about without having to file complaints or grievances or what, you know, that's just more work for you and me and Mary. So with that, is there any questions to our proposals?
I just had a correction, Hobie. When you did the
Go ahead.
proposals, the second bullet, you said 2%, you meant $2.
Oh, I did mean $2. My bad. It is in writing that way. Also, I did remove the steps piece of it because when I went back and looked, that's already in the contract, so there's no need to rebargain what we already have. So I did pull that out of there too. It just seemed like a bit of a red herring for both of us. So just that's another correction for the record there too.
Any questions from the team?
Did you, Jennifer, want to text Mary when you guys are, maybe start with a 20-minute and text her when you're ready, if
Yeah.
that works?
And can you send me both of those or did you already send me
I
the
did send them.
document?
Yeah. Yeah, you didn't have to ask me this time.
Okay, so we'll caucus and let's see, it's about 2:45. I'll check in, Mary, about 3:05 and can get back to you if we need more time, or if we're done a little bit sooner, we can get back to you.
Okay, I'll watch
Sounds
for it.
good.
Thanks, Jennifer.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Thank you all.
Carly, your host now.
Okay, I think we're good.
All right, looks like everybody's back. Okay, so again, like we shared before, our goal is to stay at or above the average of those comparator districts. And when we came last time with our proposal, it really was our intent to provide the maximum that we could provide. And so we included in that, the PERS piece was basically included into that, all the financials going into that COLA. So we are including STEP, we are at 2%. We understand that the pandemic language is something that could be put into an MOA, but not necessarily something we want to put into the contract. We need time to review the language that Hobie brought forward, so we'd want to do that before we meet next week. And then also, as we've thought about the 6.5-hour employees, thinking about how the insurance reserve is allocated, there could be modifications there for that group who are 6.5-hour employees. And then the final piece is just, I remember Hobie shared last time some new information coming out about financials for districts. And so we don't have any new information about that, but if you have information to share there, we're totally open to hearing it and would like to better understand that piece. But that is where we're at.
Yeah, because that'll be actually, I was hearing the 19th, now I'm hearing the 18th for some reason. We may know some more information on that. So I'm not sure if it's the 18th, the afternoon of the 18th or the morning of the 19th, but I'm hearing that we're going to have a number from the state budget folks. I think it still has to be voted out of committee, but at least we'll have an actual number from them. So that's what I was referring to there. So I don't know if we won't have that by Monday, but we have other pieces like you pointed out that we can still be working on in the meantime. So it sounds like if I'm understanding what you're saying, it sounds like you're saying that your financials, the reason you haven't responded to PERS is because you folded it into the 2% essentially, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. What about the coaches piece?
Oh, that's doing a small group. Yes, we're interested in doing that conversation.
Okay. All right. So, and that's good to know. Okay. And then, so it sounds like, and then you need more time with the language, which I understand that it is pretty compacted. So I get that. So I guess you'll come next Monday with a response to, it sounds like to Article 4, I think yeah. And then, we'll look at PERS now that we understand your response there. And I guess that's what we'll be talking about on Monday if we're waiting for the numbers to come out on the 18th or 19th.
So I don't know if that's the revenue forecast. I'm not exactly sure how that's going to impact the state school fund. I don't know that we'll have any information really on a final number for the state school fund. We looked when we were in caucus that the legislature is meant to close their session by the end of June. So June 27th is when they close their session. And so while we might have new information in the revenue forecast, I don't know that we'll have anything related to the state school fund and finalizing that really till the end of June. So that's I think that's probably the reality. Well, and again, like I said, Hobie, you might get information that I
Right.
don't get, but that's the information I expect that I'll see.
Right, and I'll have an update Thursday from our folks, so of where things are at and what we should expect on coming the following week. So I can share that with you on Monday, and that's not a problem. I mean, obviously, we all want to be working off the same sheet,
Sure.
so I will commit to getting that to you on Monday.
Sounds good.
All right.
Okay.
Okay. So
Before we end though, I want to just bring up, Hobie, you had sent Mary and I earlier a need to, May 25th was one of our bargaining dates that you had a conflict with. And I suggested we just cancel it since it was actually a follow-up after the 24th. I just want to make sure everyone is aware of that, and I will send out the cancellation for that meeting.
right, and we have the option if you wanted to push it a little, we could do that, but it doesn't sound like that's going to work well. So okay, all right.
So we're meeting
Yeah.
the 4th and 25th right now?
Yeah, we were being very ambitious, hoping we'd have something
Right.
done and ready to go for the board, so.
Right.
So then what are we going to do? I'm slow on the uptake here.
No, I'm with you, Ryan. It's sort of,
So we're not going to meet on the 25th then? We're going to meet on the 24th?
Yes, I'm going to cancel the 25th, so it'll go away from your calendar. You won't have to worry about it. And next week, we will come back with a response to language, and they will be looking at the financials.
Okay. All right. Well, thanks, everybody.
okay.
All right. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.